Hey guys, welcome back to this channel. My name is Ronnie. Hope you have a wonderful day. In this channel, I talk about a lot of things when it comes to personal finance, my personal finance. In today's video, I'm actually going to talk about what is going to be happening in the next month or so at the end of April with my personal finance. It has been somewhat an interesting journey throughout my life. I will be paying off one of our property in full at the end of this month. So, backtrack. My property journey comes into hip and flow, I'd say. It all started up when I got all of this excitement, purchasing investment property, purchase as much investment property and get a lot of debt along the way. It turned out to be that wasn't the case. After acquiring quite a few, I realized to myself, this is debt to income ratio is not right. The fact that I'm racking up a lot of debt, and at the same time, it wasn't creating me the lifestyle that I wanted. So, one by one, we started to paying off and sell off our asset as we go along. Now, fast forward 6 years later, I guess, 6 years later, I was able to manage to acquire more properties, like generating passive income of roughly about $1,000 per week at the current stage, somewhere around there. And that, because of that, we are able to pay off one of our property in full by the end of this month. Now, don't get me wrong, it's not a big amount of money, but it's a $350,000 worth of property that I paid in 6 years or less. 6-7 years, somewhere around there. Under 10 years, let's say. So yeah, it's kind of exciting. Now I will be having paid off property for my nest egg. From then on, this will be just a rental property as well. We're just gonna keep on renting it out until such time as if I choose to move over there, which I don't think I'm going to. But the concept of it is having more passive income. I don't have to, I guess, profit sharing with the bank anymore as well, which is great. So all the profit goes to me, and I deal with only the expenditure on the property, which is your council rate, water rate, water council. There's no strata because it's a house, a standalone house. So yeah, it is going to be an interesting end of April. How exciting! Like, I know it doesn't. For some, it might not be a big amount of money on the property, but for some, it might be. Like, my thought process, I had to take a breathing moment after discovering that we have enough cash to pay off this mortgage. Now, how did I do this in the first place? So, when we first started on this investment journey, let's say, or if not, creating passive income, multiple stream of income, or retire young, achieving financial freedom and whatnot. That was a burning desire for me when I was about 18 or so, and I realized that I didn't want to work until I retire. I didn't want to work every day for the rest of my life, over 30 plus years. But it works out to be, when you achieve that, you actually work a lot more. Like, I enjoy a lot more now, creating this YouTube channel, talking about my journey as I go along, to achieve more income, multiple stream of income as I go along. So 6-7 years ago, my wife and I started to buy investment property. My wife bought an investment property before me, and we keep on buying. We did a lot of different strategies, things such as taking out an equity, upstamping a loan to purchase another one, a renovation, buy and hold, the traditional way, buy and hold. And then we did other things such as a vendor finance, rent to buy. We did a few different ways in order for us to achieve that. And then after that, I was joint venturing with other sellers to create positive income, positive cash flow property. I know the system. I created a system that can generate income from your for your investment property, especially for the people who have negatively gearing at the moment. Negatively gearing is not a good plan in order for you to be wealthy. Negatively gearing is not a good plan in order for you to save tax. For me, the way I look at tax as well is, if you have to pay tax, it's a good thing, especially if you have multiple stream of income, right? Because if you're in a business, to pay tax, that means your business is making money, as long as you're able to recognize that aspect of it. You don't go in the mentality of, I'm trying to buy investment property at a loss. So that's equivalent to, I'm creating a business, but it's going to make a loss. That doesn't make sense. For me is, how can I achieve financial freedom, pay the correct amount of tax bracket, and keeping all of my assets as much as I can. That's what I do. When I have to pay tax, it's a good thing. That means I'm making money. So, and if you don't make money, what's the point of you creating this wealth? What's the point of you working, or what's the point of you getting this high income? Let's say if you're not able to figure out a system to create more wealth from it. So, I've seen a lot of things when I hear that, I'm like, people try to minimize tax all the time legally. So that's one side of it. That's the biggest mindset in my head, is I have to change that, because I'm trying to make money. So if I make money, I'm gonna pay tax. If I'm making if I'm paying whatever the dollar figure, that means I'm making money. It's a good thing, because I'm making money. If you have a cash flow problem, it's a different story. So there's that side of it. The next one would be, how do I achieve these? So I have to think for a second there. So how did I achieve it? So there's a few different ways that we did it, okay? So first of all, we had multiple property. Let's say we sold one of them and we acquire roughly about $100,000. We put $100,000 in the front. We acquire one. We sold one of our property and we gained roughly about $100,000 of cash component. With that $100,000, we pay off on the mortgage. So that's our second 200. The other 100 is literally us just paying it off as quickly as possible. The other thing would be, when the interest rate was going down, we fixed the interest rate at a certain number of years to minimize our repayment, let's say. So every couple of years or so, contacted the bank. What is the current interest rate? Sometimes it's 1 year, 2 years, or 5 years, or 3 years even. They give you those options. So from there, we decided, okay, then for the next whichever years, I'm gonna fix my my repayment. That way, it's the same dollar figure. We also asked I guess the bank also, hey, what is the extra repayment can I do? Some of them penalize you, some of them don't. With my one anyway, when we were fixing our interest rate, we can only pay up to $5,000 before we're being penalized. So we did that every year when we fixed it. Well, we fixed it for 2 years for one of them, as an example, yeah. Before we fixed it, if we have surplus income, we put it in there as the mortgage repayment. Once we fixed it, at a maximum, we can only pay $5,000, so we only pay $5,000 instead of us paying more because being penalized. Once the 2 years is finished, If we're looking at our, let's say our plan, we still have, let's say, $10,000 or $20,000. Then we put it back in there, the $10,000 or $20,000. Then refixing it again for another 2 or 3 years. Repeat the process over and over again. Personally, I would rather be fixing the interest rate because, one, I know how much it is that I'll be paying every week, every month. It doesn't fluctuate as the interest rate changes as well. That's what I like about fixing rate. And this gives me a stability as well. My income is going to be the same. For example, my rental income, it's not going to be fluctuating. So my rental income is the same over and over again. My repayment is the same over and over again. And I guess my profit margin is about the same on that particular property. The other occasion, I increased my rent, but not that much. 12 months ago, during COVID, when it started COVID, I didn't, I guess, raise my rent on this particular property as a goodwill gesture, because there have been, the tenant's been in my place for quite a long time. I think it's roughly about 3 years, and so far they haven't given us any trouble at all. So yeah, that's how I managed to do it. And on top of that, while I'm paying this interest rate, or while I'm paying the repayment, any surplus, saved up for it. Put it aside. Now I've got up to the stage where we did a calculation now. Our interest rate is actually supposed to be expired next year, in September next year or so. But we did a calculation, it will be, and because we have the cash, it's actually cheaper if I just pay the penalty to cancel the locked-in interest rate. Because if you break the fixed rate, there's bound to be a fee. We did the maths. We've got the cash now, and even if I have to pay penalty, it's actually a lot cheaper, the penalty, instead of paying off the interest rate for the next 12 months. So that's what we're doing. We actually got even better because our loan is under $100,000. When we called the bank a few days ago, they get to us, well, because your loan is kind of small, there won't be any penalty fee when you're breaking this loan. Cream in the pie for me, I say. So yeah, I will be 37 and I'll be paying off my mortgage, one out of multiple properties that I have. All because all of my property now is producing me positive cash flow. I would not be able to do it if they're all negatively gearing. So if you guys in the mindset of trying to save tax all the time, it won't work. For me, it's like, how can I achieve more income, more cash flow, or how can I minimize my expenditure? That way you can have this nest egg that you are able to pay off your house in cash. From then on, our next plan will be, if I need to buy a house, I'm gonna buy it in cash. So at least I've got one now, and I'm expecting to have multiple stream of property. And I'm trying my best in here to without acquiring more debt, without acquiring more, let's say, mortgages, I'm gonna buy it in cash instead, over and over again. But I go along, I'll pretty much give you a heads up on how I go about doing that as well. It might take a while or so before I achieve extra more properties, but hey, I'm not in a rush of getting there. You know, this property, it's $300,000 purchase with a $350 per week rental income and no repayment to the bank. So that means, let's assume with the agent fee, admin costs, it's roughly, I put it down $100. So that means $250 per week. It's generating me an income forever, in the condition that obviously it's rented. That's a start. all I got to do now, just change that into 4 different properties. That would be $1,000 per week, and with an average income of Sydney, it's put it down about $1,000 per week. There shouldn't be any reason I can't get 4 different properties generating about that much, and you'd be financially free. I mean, so far alone, we acquire, I think, roughly about 10 different properties or so that's generate us roughly about $1,000 per week, but they all have underlying loan in the bottom of that. So I would rather have property that have no underlying loan. So yeah, if you want to do the same, I started in the mindset of changing negatively gearing into positively gearing, because after all, cash flow is king. Cash flow pays the bills. Cash flow is the reason why I invest in the first place. I invest to make money. I invest to make cash flow, not future gain. So anyway, don't forget to subscribe, comment, guys. That's just my 2 cents, and I'll see you guys on the next video.